Hey, what's up guys, Jaeky here. Today we'll be talking about the top 5 things that you should prioritize upgrading for Valorant in your setup. So these are my top 5 parts of any gaming setup that I think will improve your Valorant performance from most important to least important. So let's get right into it. I'll also give recommendations for things that I go over as well, depending on what your budget is and your price range. So yeah, let's get right into it. Starting off at number 1 is going to be your computer itself. You want to make sure you're getting enough FPS in Valorant to have a smooth experience without any lag. So if you're playing on something like an old laptop that only gets around 30 to 40 FPS, then obviously number 1 thing that you should be looking to upgrade is going to be your computer. So if you're looking at getting a good gaming PC for Valorant, I would highly recommend going with a desktop rather than a laptop. This is because with desktops, they're a lot more future-proof and you can upgrade components as the computer ages and it goes down the line. You can choose things to upgrade. Also with a desktop, you can build it yourself and save a lot of money, as well as get really good discounts on certain parts as well. So most of the time, building a desktop yourself will be a lot cheaper than buying a pre-built gaming laptop. There are tons of resources out there on YouTube from tech channels like Linus Tech Tips going over tons of PC builds for every price range. So no matter if your budget, mid-range or high-end, it doesn't really matter. You can always find a video for you. So I highly recommend checking out those resources so that you can build a PC that's within your budget. Alright guys, moving on to the second most important thing in your setup is going to be your monitor. So this pretty much ties in very closely with the first thing, which is the good PC. With a good PC, you're going to be able to push out higher FPS. And with that, we want to be able to make sure that our monitor is actually able to support that high FPS. So we want to make sure that we get a high refresh rate monitor. This is one of those upgrades in a gaming setup that make the biggest difference. A high refresh rate monitor is pretty much night and day when you compare it to a low refresh rate monitor. So most people on a budget monitor will probably be working with something like 60 Hz or 75 Hz. You can easily check the refresh rate of your monitor simply by right-clicking on your desktop, clicking show more options, and then going into display settings. After going into display settings, just scroll down to the bottom and go to advanced display. And under here, you can see under choose a refresh rate, what refresh rate your monitor is actually at. So if you're on a low refresh rate monitor, aka around 60 Hz, then I highly recommend upgrading to a high refresh rate monitor, assuming your computer pushes out enough FPS to support it. So there's tons of different options when it comes to high refresh rate monitors. Most people will be satisfied with a 144 Hz monitor, which is also one of the cheaper options as well. So if you want a cheapest option for a high refresh rate monitor, just go with a simple 144 Hz refresh rate monitor. If your budget is a little bit higher and you want to splurge, you can also go for a 240 Hz or even something like a 360 Hz monitor. But again, you want to make sure that your computer is actually able to push out this much FPS. And also with refresh rates, the higher you go, the more diminishing returns you'll get. So most people will be satisfied with a 144 Hz monitor, but you will notice a slight change from 144 to 240 Hz, but not as big as if you were going from 60 Hz to 144 Hz. So keep that in mind. If you want some suggestions for monitors, I will leave links to those in the description below. Alright guys, moving on to the third most important thing you should upgrade after the high refresh rate monitor is definitely going to be a good gaming mouse. Especially for a game like Valorant, you want a mouse that is on the lighter side. Most people prefer lighter mice for FPSs because it allows them to micro adjust more easily. But again, this is also personal preference. Some people do prefer heavier mice as well. So for good gaming mice, I really can't give one recommendation because mice is really down to personal preference. Everyone has different hand sizes as well as different ways they like to grip the mouse. So one mouse that might work for someone might not work for somebody else. So I'll give you guys a short list of some mice that I would highly recommend, and you guys can check them out and watch separate reviews to see which one will work for you the best. So I would highly recommend picking up a wireless mouse. Wireless mouse this day and age in 2023, the technology for wireless mouse is pretty much on par with wired mice in terms of latency, so you really don't have to worry about any noticeable input lag when you use wireless mice. And with the benefit of wireless mice is that you don't have to feel any cable drag whatsoever. So every mouse that I'm going to recommend right now is going to be a wireless mouse. Starting off with the most popular, obviously, is going to be the G Pro Superlight. I feel like this mouse works for a lot of different hand sizes as well as a lot of different grip styles. So if you want a really safe shape to go for, then the G Pro Superlight is going to be my number 1 recommendation. You can definitely try it out, and if it doesn't suit you, you can always return it and try something else on this list. The wireless mice by Razer are also very good as well. The Razer Viper is a solid recommendation, as well as the Razer Death Adder. If you're someone who likes to palm grip your mouse, then the Razer Death Adder might be the one for you, since it's an ergonomic shape. A lot of palm grip users like the Razer Death Adder. Another ergonomic shaped mouse, if you don't want to use a Razer product, is the Logitech G703. This is also an ergonomic shaped mouse and also super popular with palm grippers. Some other great wireless mice include the Pulsar X2 and the Pulsar X2 Mini. These are both really good mice. Depending on your hand size, you might either want to go for the Mini or the regular. If you have small hands, probably go for the Mini. As well as the Lamzu Atlantis and the Lamzu Atlantis Mini, also very similar. These are also very great mice as well. And then of course you have the Vaxi XE wireless. This is a very similar shape to the G Pro Superlight, but a lot of people say that they prefer the Vaxi XE a little bit more than the Superlight shape. So this might be a mouse worth checking out as well. But yeah, those are just some very simple mice recommendation, very popular picks. There are tons of different mice out there in the mice market. The mice market is super huge, so you really won't have a hard time finding a mouse that fits your hand and grip style. You just have to explore a little bit. If none of the mice on this list fit your hand, there's tons of different mice out there. So, all right guys, the fourth most important thing on this list is going to be your audio. So this includes both your microphone and your headset. So first off, let's start with the most budget option is obviously going to be just a gaming headset like a HyperX headset. You get both a headphone and you also get a microphone in one. Obviously, the downside is going to be gaming headsets don't sound the best, and also the microphones on gaming headsets don't sound the best as well. So this is really going to be like the low tier budget option, but it does work and most people are satisfied with just a gaming headset. So if that's within your budget and that's what you want to go for, then that's perfectly fine. But if you want to go up a little bit and upgrade, I would highly recommend going for a standalone microphone and then pair that with a headphone of your choice. You can also just stick with a gaming headset and then upgrade the microphone by itself to a standalone microphone if that's what you want to do. But yeah, for standalone microphones, for the budget option, you can go for something like a Blue Snowball. This is very budget friendly and very easy to set up as well. For the mid-range, you can go for something like an AT2020 USB. You can go for an Elgato Wave, or you can go for like a HyperX Quadcast. And then on the higher end, you can go for something like a Shure MV7. All of these are USB microphones because I wanted to keep it simple and plug and play. So there's not going to be any XLR microphones or anything like that on this list. All right, guys, last but not least on the list, coming in at number 5 on things to upgrade for your gaming setup is going to be your keyboard. Now for the keyboard, you can honestly use any good gaming keyboard. It doesn't really matter what brand it's from, Razer, Logitech, HyperX. All these gaming keyboards are pretty much very, very similar. You don't really have to go for anything crazy like a Wooting 60HE. The Wooting 60HE is a great quality of life item and it is superior to other gaming keyboards because it is slightly more responsive. But you can honestly hit Radiant on pretty much any decent gaming keyboard, even if it's super budget, as long as it's mechanical and it has N key rollover, meaning that you can hit multiple keys at the same time and it will register those inputs. So pretty much as long as you're not playing on like a super basic office like membrane keyboard, you're pretty much good to go. If you guys want my recommendations for a really solid gaming keyboard, I always recommend the HyperX Alloy Origins Core. This comes in TKL, full form, and 60%, as well as a 65%. So there's really a lot of options depending on what form factor you want, and also the keyboard is just super solid. Build quality is super great and reliable. So if I had to recommend one keyboard, it would be the HyperX Alloy Origins Core, and it's also super affordable as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Those are my top 5 gaming peripherals to upgrade for Valorant, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.